We've seen Sumit stand up for Jenny in front of his parents. We've seen him choose her over his family, his country, his entire way of life. For years, we have been told a story of a modern romance against all odds, a testament to the idea that love conquers all. But what does he say when she's not around? What happens when the cameras are off, and he's alone with his thoughts and his oldest friends? We have just received screenshots from a private group chat, an explosive cache of information that reveals what Sumit really thinks about his wife. And it is brutal. This isn't just a simple complaint or a bad day. This is a pattern, a secret life, a cruel performance that will make you question everything you thought you knew about their relationship. Before we dive into this shocking expose, if you're a fan of getting the real, unfiltered stories from the 90-day universe, the kind of stories the network would never show you, then make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Ring the notification bell, because you are not going to want to miss a single update on this. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to help us get this story out there. The truth deserves to be heard. Let's begin by setting the stage, by reminding ourselves of the narrative we've all been sold. Sumit Singh, the charming Indian man from a traditional family, and Jenny Slatten, the adventurous American woman 30 years his senior. Theirs was a love story that began, like so many modern tales, online. A catfishing scandal was the first hurdle, a sign of the deception that would later become a theme in their lives. But Jenny forgave him. She left her life in Palm Springs, her children, her grandchildren, to move to India for a man who promised her the world. And what a difficult world it was. We all watched, week after week, as Sumit's parents, Anil and Sahana, waged a relentless campaign against their union. They called Jenny too old, they insulted her, they threatened Sumit with disownment, they emotionally blackmailed him in ways that were painful to watch. And through it all, who was Jenny's staunchest defender? Who was the man who stood between her and his family's wrath? It was Sumit. We have the footage. We can all pull it up right now. Clips of Sumit, his voice shaking with emotion, telling his mother, "I will not leave Jenny. If I have to choose between you and her, I will choose her." We saw him in tears, torn between the woman he loved and the parents he was culturally obligated to obey. He was a tragic hero, a romantic figure caught in an impossible situation. He endured their screaming matches, he listened to their ultimatums, and in the end, he did it. He married her. Against their wishes, in a quiet ceremony, he finally made Jenny his wife. It seemed like the fairy tale ending they had fought so hard for. They had won. It was them against the world, and they had emerged victorious, hand in hand, ready to live out their golden years together in peace. This public persona, this image of Sumit the devoted, is the bedrock of their entire story. It's what makes fans root for them. It's what makes Jenny's sacrifices seem worthwhile. He was the prize at the end of a long, arduous battle. He was the man who gave up everything for her. He chose love over tradition, over family, over societal expectations. This is the official story. This is the truth as we have been shown it. But an insider report, backed by what appears to be irrefutable, time-stamped evidence, suggests that this entire public-facing narrative is a lie. A carefully constructed performance designed for the cameras and for Jenny herself, while a much darker, crueler reality was playing out in private. For years, long before the marriage, and continuing to this day, Sumit has been an active member of a private WhatsApp group chat. The group consists of 4 of his closest friends from his hometown, men he grew up with, the kind of friends who knew him long before he was a reality TV star. The group's name is Boys' Night. On the surface, it's exactly what you'd expect, a place for guys to be guys. They talk about cricket, about jobs, about local gossip. It's his digital man cave, a connection to his roots, his space to vent about the pressures of life. And for a man in Sumit's position, you would expect a certain amount of venting to be necessary. The stress of his family, the financial pressures, the cultural adjustments of living with an American partner, it's only natural he would need an outlet. But what has been leaked from this group chat goes far beyond simple venting. It's not just letting off steam. According to our source, it's a cesspool of vicious, relentless mockery directed at one person, his wife, Jenny. The information we've received is staggering. We're not talking about 1 or 2 bad jokes. We're talking about a 2-year-plus history of daily degradation. Let's start with the nicknames. In the Boys' Night chat, Jenny is almost never referred to by her name. The 2 most common monikers Sumit uses for her are Aunty Jenny and, more disturbingly, My American Pension. Let's break those down. Calling an older woman auntie is common in India as a sign of respect. But in this context, it's weaponized. It's a constant, sarcastic reminder of their age gap, a way to frame her not as his partner, but as a matronly, older figure in his life, stripping her of any romantic or desirable qualities. It's a term used to mock her in front of his peers, reducing her to the very stereotype his parents despise. My American Pension is even more sinister. It suggests his entire motivation for being with her is financial. It paints their entire love story, the years of fighting, the tears, the family drama, as nothing more than a long con, a strategic investment for his future. In these chats, he allegedly complains about his financial situation and then follows it up with a joke like, "Don't worry, my American pension is about to pay out," often accompanied by a laughing emoji. His friends then pile on, asking if the pension plan comes with benefits, making crude jokes about her social security checks. It transforms their relationship from a romance into a cold, calculated transaction where Jenny is not a person, but an asset to be exploited. The cruelty is not just verbal, it's visual. The leaked screenshots reportedly contain numerous unflattering photos of Jenny that Sumit has taken without her knowledge and shared with the group. A picture of her sleeping on the couch, her mouth slightly agape, with the caption, "The eagle has landed, finally some peace." A photo of her plate after she's finished a meal, with a mess of food on it, captioned, "She eats like it's her last day on earth." One of the most heartbreaking images described to us is a photo Sumit took of the back of Jenny's head, showing her graying roots, with the message, "Time to dye the runway again," followed by a skull emoji. His friends respond with laughing emojis, with one friend allegedly writing, "Better get a bulk discount, bro." He is turning the most intimate and vulnerable moments of their shared life into fodder for his friends' amusement. He's inviting them into their home, into their bedroom, to point and laugh at the woman he publicly claims to adore. Her attempts to assimilate into Indian culture, which are often portrayed on the show as earnest and endearing, are a constant source of ridicule in the chat. Her cooking is a favorite topic. The leaks describe an instance where Jenny proudly made a traditional Indian dish for him. Publicly, he would have eaten it with a smile and thanked her. Privately, he took a picture of the food, sent it to the boys' night group, and used a string of vomit emojis to describe it. He wrote, "She tried to make dal. I think she summoned a demon. Pray for my stomach." His friends replied with jokes like, "Is that what they fed prisoners at Guantanamo?" And "You are a brave soldier, my friend." Every effort she makes to bridge their cultural gap, every sweet gesture, is twisted into a punchline. He mocks her accent when she tries to speak Hindi. He complains about her cluelessness regarding Indian customs, describing her in the chat as being as subtle as a train wreck when they have guests over. The chat history paints a picture of a man living a complete double life. To Jenny's face and to the world, he is the loving, supportive partner. But in the private digital company of his friends, he complains incessantly about being stuck with her. He refers to their marriage not as a union of love, but as his life sentence. He jokes about how his friends are out having fun with women their own age while he's at home babysitting. The contrast is nauseating. We've all seen the clips of Sumit reassuring Jenny, telling her, "Age is just a number. Our love is what matters." But the screenshots allegedly show that on the very same night he said that on camera, he was in the group chat telling his friends, "Had to give the old lady her nightly dose of bullshit. It's exhausting." So how did this treasure trove of toxic secrets come to light? This is where the story takes another dramatic turn. It wasn't a hacker or a rival blogger. The leak came from within the boys' night group itself. It came from a friend who developed a conscience, but not on his own. He was forced into it. Let's call this friend Anand. For years, Anand was an active participant in the mockery. He laughed at the jokes, he added his own insults, he validated Sumit's cruelty. It was just what they did. But then, about a year ago, Anand started dating a new woman. Let's call her Priya. Priya is described as a modern, educated, and outspoken feminist. She's not involved in the reality TV world and has a very low tolerance for misogyny. The red flag, the moment that started this entire unraveling, happened during dinner. Anand and Priya were out with Sumit and Jenny. Everything was pleasant on the surface. But later that evening, after they had all parted ways, Anand, feeling comfortable with Priya, made an off-color joke. It was a joke about older women and their preferences, a joke that sounded suspiciously specific, echoing the kind of humor prevalent in the boys' night chat. Priya didn't laugh. According to our source, she went quiet and then confronted him. She asked him where he learned to talk about women like that. He tried to brush it off as a harmless joke, but she pressed him. She told him it sounded cruel and targeted. Over the next few weeks, Priya started noticing more things. She'd overhear Anand on the phone with his friends, laughing in a way that made her uncomfortable. She'd catch snippets of conversations, a cruel nickname here, a disparaging comment there, all seemingly directed at Jenny. She finally put it all together and confronted Anand directly. She told him, "The way you and your friends talk about Sumit's wife is disgusting. It's not just boys being boys, it's cruel, it's misogynistic, and it makes me wonder how you talk about me when I'm not around." This caused a massive rift between them. Anand was caught. He was in love with Priya and terrified of losing her, but he was also deeply entrenched in the toxic culture of his friend group. He defended himself, saying it was just talk, that Sumit was just venting, that it didn't mean anything. But Priya didn't buy it. She gave him an ultimatum. She told him she couldn't be with a man who participated in that kind of hateful talk. She needed to know the full extent of it. She needed proof that he understood how bad it was and was willing to change. This is what led to the smoking gun. Cornered and desperate to prove to Priya that he saw the light, that he was willing to condemn the group's toxicity to save his relationship, Anand did something drastic. He spent an entire night scrolling back through months and then years of the boys' night chat history, and he started taking screenshots. He wasn't just looking for one or two examples. He was building a comprehensive case. He captured dozens, then hundreds of conversations. The nicknames, the unflattering photos, the jokes about her age, her looks, her cooking, the complaints about his life sentence. He screenshotted Sumit's messages, his own messages, and the messages from the other friends, creating an undeniable record of the group's systemic cruelty. The sheer volume was damning. He had compiled a complete 2-year-plus dossier of Sumit's secret life. His original intention, according to the source, was just to show them to Priya, to say, "You're right. This is horrible. I'm done with it." He showed her the file, and her reaction was even stronger than he had anticipated. She was appalled. She was horrified, not just by the content, but by the sheer, relentless volume of it. She saw a woman being psychologically tormented by the one person who was supposed to protect her. And in that moment, Priya decided that this was bigger than just her relationship with Anand. She felt a moral obligation to expose it. She believed Jenny had a right to know the truth about the man she had sacrificed everything for. So without telling Anand, she took the entire file of screenshots, every single one, and sent them from an anonymous email address to a major, well-respected 90-day fiancé blogger, the kind of blogger with a massive platform and a reputation for breaking credible stories. The evidence was undeniable. It wasn't just text. It was a screenshot from the WhatsApp interface. You could see Sumit's profile picture right next to the vile messages. You could see the double blue ticks, showing the messages were read by the group. And most importantly, you could see the timestamps. This allowed the blogger to cross-reference the chats with the timeline of the show. The results were chilling. There were cruel messages about Jenny sent on their anniversary. There were jokes about her being old and frail on the same day Sumit was on TV, talking about how much he admired her energy. The public declarations of love and the private expressions of contempt were happening concurrently, sometimes just hours apart. The reckoning began the moment the blogger hit publish. The story, titled something like, "Exclusive Leaked Chats Reveal Sumit Singh's Secret War on Wife Jenny Slatten," exploded online. At first, there was disbelief. Many fans rushed to Sumit's defense, claiming the screenshots were fake, photoshopped, a malicious attack by haters. But the sheer volume of the leak made that defense impossible to maintain. There were too many. They were too consistent. The specific details, the private jokes, the timeline that synced perfectly with the show. It was too elaborate to be a fabrication. It had the undeniable stench of truth. The fan community went into a meltdown. The narrative of Sumit, the romantic hero, was shattered in an instant. He was recast as a villain, a master manipulator, a cruel, two-faced liar. The people who had defended him, who had admired his sacrifice, felt personally betrayed. The comment sections of bots and forums were a firestorm of outrage. But the most important audience for this information was, of course, Jenny herself. We can only imagine the moment she saw it. Perhaps a friend sent her the link. Perhaps she stumbled upon it herself while scrolling through social media. But imagine her, sitting in her home in India, the home she fought so hard for, and seeing it all, seeing the nicknames. Aunty Jenny, My American Pension, seeing the photo of herself sleeping, sent out for a laugh, reading the vomit emojis used to describe the meal she lovingly cooked for him. The entire foundation of their relationship was built on one central idea. It was them against the world. They were a team. He was her protector, her champion. In a foreign land, with a hostile family, he was her only true ally. This leak doesn't just challenge that idea, it obliterates it. It reveals that in his real life, with his real friends, the people whose opinions he truly values, she wasn't his partner. She was the punchline. The us against the world bond was a complete sham. While she was fighting the world for him, he was fighting her behind her back, leading the charge in her daily degradation. He wasn't just letting his friends make fun of her, he was instigating it. He was providing the ammunition. He was the one taking the photos, crafting the insults, and setting the tone. This isn't just a case of a husband complaining about his wife. Every married person vents. But there is a universe of difference between saying, "My wife's snoring is driving me crazy," and secretly nicknaming her Aunty Jenny, sharing unflattering photos of her to be mocked, and referring to your marriage as a life sentence. One is a minor complaint. The other is a profound betrayal, a deep-seated contempt that poisons the very root of the relationship. It reveals a level of disrespect that is almost impossible to come back from. How can she ever trust him again? How can she ever look at him and not see the man who laughed at her with his friends? Every time he compliments her, she will wonder if he's about to send a message to his friends mocking her for believing it. Every time they share an intimate moment, she will wonder if it's about to become a crude joke in the boys' night chat. The deception is so deep, so methodical, that it forces us to reevaluate their entire history. Was his fight with his parents genuine, or was it all a performance for the cameras? A way to play the victim and martyr while secretly agreeing with everything they said about her. When he cried, was he crying because he was torn, or because he felt trapped in the life he had chosen? This leak reframes every single interaction we have ever seen between them. The loving glances, the public defenses, the vows of eternal love, they are all now tainted by the shadow of the boys' night chat. It suggests a man who is not a romantic hero, but a weak and cruel individual, too cowardly to end the relationship, so he resorts to privately tearing down the woman he publicly pretends to build up. He gets the financial stability and public sympathy of being with Jenny, while also getting the validation and ego boost from his friends by mocking her. He has been having his cake and eating it too, and the cake is made of Jenny's trust and devotion. This situation goes beyond the typical 90-day fiancé drama of visa applications and cultural clashes. This is a story of profound, long-term emotional abuse. It's the story of a woman who believes she is in a loving partnership, while her husband is secretly the ringleader of her own personal burn book. The evidence presented in this leak is not just a smoking gun, it's a nuclear bomb dropped on the entire Sumit and Jenny narrative. It forces every viewer, every fan, and most devastatingly, Jenny herself, to confront a horrifying possibility that the great love story of Sumit and Jenny was never a love story at all. It was a tragedy masquerading as a romance, and Jenny was the only one who didn't know it. The question we are left with is a heavy one. What happens now? Can a marriage survive a betrayal of this magnitude? Can trust that has been so thoroughly and systematically destroyed ever be rebuilt? Or is this the final brutal chapter in a story that was, from the very beginning, built on a foundation of lies? The screenshots are out there. The digital receipts are public. And for Sumit, there is nowhere left to hide. The double life he so carefully maintained has come crashing down, and the whole world is now watching to see what he does in the rubble of the life he himself secretly demolished. Now we must delve deeper into the psychology at play, the intricate web of deceit that Sumit has allegedly woven for years. To truly understand the gravity of this situation, we need to analyze the specific types of mockery and what they reveal about his state of mind. It's not just random cruelty, it's a targeted, systematic dismantling of Jenny as a person, a partner, and a woman. Let's consider the theme of her age. This has always been the central conflict of their story, the primary objection from his parents and society. In public, Sumit has always been dismissive of the age gap. He's championed it as irrelevant, a mere number that pales in comparison to their emotional connection. He has, on countless occasions, looked into the camera and said that he doesn't see an older woman, he just sees Jenny, his love. The leaked chat suggests this is perhaps his biggest lie. According to the details we've received, the group chat is saturated with age-related mockery. He allegedly shares articles about health problems common in senior citizens with captions like, "Something to look forward to." He jokes about her bedtime, saying things like, "The sun is down, so the crypt keeper is asleep." His friends then respond in kind, with one reportedly asking if he has to cut her food up for her, or if she can still chew on her own. These aren't just jokes, they are a direct endorsement of his parents' most hateful arguments. In private, Sumit is not defying his parents. He is agreeing with them. He is echoing their exact sentiments, but with a crueler, more personal touch. He is using the very thing she is most insecure about, the thing the world has judged her for, as his primary weapon against her. This is a profound betrayal, because he positioned himself as her only shield against that specific brand of prejudice. It turns out he wasn't her shield. He was just another one of the bullies, and the most dangerous one, because he was the one she trusted. Let's examine the financial angle, the My American Pension nickname. This speaks to a different, more cynical form of deception. The narrative we've been fed is that Sumit sacrificed a potentially prosperous, traditional life for love. He gave up the chance of a family-approved marriage, of children, of a stable career path within his family's expectations. He chose a harder, less certain path because his love for Jenny was priceless. This nickname suggests the opposite. It suggests he saw Jenny not as a sacrifice, but as a shortcut. A ticket to a different kind of life, perhaps one with more financial freedom and less familial obligation than he let on. The chats reportedly contain conversations where his friends ask him when he's going to cash out and come back to India to live like a king. His replies are allegedly playful but affirming. Things like, "Patience, my brothers. Good things come to those who wait." This recontextualizes his entire struggle. Was he really fighting for love, or was he playing a long game, enduring the family drama and the cultural challenges as a necessary evil to secure a comfortable future? It paints him as an incredibly patient and convincing scam artist. It implies that Jenny isn't just a victim of mockery, but potentially a victim of a long-term financial and emotional fraud. He has been allowing her to spend her savings, her retirement funds, to build a life with him in India, all while privately viewing her as a temporary ATM. This is a level of cold, calculated cruelty that is difficult to comprehend. It's one thing to fall out of love with someone or to be frustrated in a relationship. It's another thing entirely to have seen them as a financial instrument from the start. Furthermore, let's explore the deep-seated resentment revealed in the chats. The complaints about being stuck, the life sentence jokes, the lamenting of his lost youth. This is key. It suggests that Sumit feels like a victim. In his own mind, he is the one who has sacrificed. He is the one who is trapped. He sees Jenny not as a partner he chose, but as a burden he must bear. This victim mentality is what allows him to justify his cruelty. In his warped perspective, he is entitled to mock her, to vent, to be vicious, sriches, because his life has been so difficult because of her. He doesn't see his actions as a betrayal of her, but as a necessary survival mechanism for him. This is a classic manipulator's tactic. Reframe yourself as the aggrieved party to absolve yourself of guilt. He complains to his friends about having to watch what she wants on television, or having to eat the food she cooks, or having to listen to her talk about her life in America. These are presented in the chat as monumental hardships, injustices that he is forced to endure. The reality is, these are just the normal compromises of any relationship, but he twists them into evidence of his suffering. This allows him and his friends to build a shared narrative where he is a martyr, a saint for putting up with this old American woman. It's a collective delusion that protects his ego and validates his toxic behavior. The chats create an echo chamber where his resentment is nurtured and encouraged, growing stronger with every laughing emoji and every validating reply from his friends. We must also consider the role of his friends in this. They are not passive bystanders, they are active accomplices. They are the audience for his performance of cruelty. They enable him, they encourage him, and they participate in the pile-on. This is a crucial element. Sumit's behavior is not happening in a vacuum. It's a social activity. The boys' night chat is a space where a specific toxic form of masculinity is being performed and reinforced. In this space, being a real man means complaining about your female partner, mocking her weaknesses, and asserting your dominance and superiority, even if it's just through secret, cowardly text messages. Jenny becomes an object, a prop for them to use to bond with each other. By mocking her, Sumit reinforces his ties with his friends, proving that despite his unconventional marriage, he is still one of them. He is still a lad. This dynamic is what makes the story of the leaker, Anand, so compelling. His girlfriend, Priya, represented a different kind of worldview, one that clashed directly with the toxic masculinity of the group. Her confrontation with him was not just about a single joke, it was a challenge to his entire social identity. She was, in essence, asking him to choose. Are you the kind of man who participates in this? Or are you the kind of man I can build a life with? His decision to leak the chats, or at least to compile them, was a seismic event. It was a betrayal of the group's code of silence, a breaking of the pack mentality. It suggests that even within these toxic environments, people can and do reach a breaking point. They can be forced to confront the ugliness of their own behavior. Anand's actions, prompted by Priya, are a small glimmer of hope in a very dark story. It shows that not everyone is content to let this kind of cruelty go unchecked forever. Now, let's turn our focus back to the fallout for Jenny. Public humiliation is one thing. To have your deepest insecurities and most private moments broadcast to the world is a nightmare. But the private devastation is infinitely worse. Trust is the currency of any intimate relationship. Without it, you have nothing. Sumit has not just spent all their trust, he has counterfeited it for years. Every I love you, every hug, every moment of reassurance is now retroactively poisoned. She must be questioning her own judgment, her own sanity. How could she have lived with this man for years and not known? How could she have been so blind to the contempt he held for her? This kind of betrayal can cause deep psychological damage. It can make you question your worth, your desirability, your ability to read people. It's a form of gaslighting on a grand scale. He created an entire reality for her, a reality where she was loved and cherished, while simultaneously co-authoring a secret alternate reality where she was a pathetic joke. For Jenny to heal from this, she would have to confront the fact that the man she loves might not actually exist. The Sumit she fell in love with, the Sumit who fought for her, may have just been a character he was playing. The real Sumit is the one in the group chat, the one who sends vomit emojis and calls her his pension. The implications for their future are staggering. Is there a path forward? In theory, people can change. Sumit could engage in intense therapy. He could publicly apologize. He could cut off the friends who enabled him. He could spend the rest of his life trying to prove that he is a different man. But can he ever undo the damage? The screenshots are permanent. The words he wrote can never be unwritten. They will always be there, a digital monument to his disrespect. Even if she were to forgive him, could she ever forget? Could she ever feel truly safe and loved with him again? The power dynamic in their relationship has been irrevocably shattered. He has revealed himself to be a deeply untrustworthy and cruel partner. Any future they might have would be built on the rubble of this devastating revelation. This story serves as a terrifying cautionary tale for the digital age. It highlights how easy it is for people to live double lives, to maintain a carefully curated public persona while indulging their darkest impulses in private, encrypted spaces. It shows how the person you share your bed with could be leading a completely different emotional life on their phone, just inches away from you. The intimacy of a shared life can be an illusion, a stage play for an audience of one, while the real drama, the real feelings, are being broadcast to a secret audience online. The boys' night chat was Sumit's real stage, and on it, he wasn't playing the part of the romantic lead. He was playing the villain. And Jenny, the unsuspecting co-star, is the last one to find out. The evidence is overwhelming. The betrayal is absolute. And the fairy tale, it seems, has come to a very brutal and tragic end. We are left to wonder if Sumit ever truly loved Jenny at all, or if his entire relationship has been the longest and most cruel performance in 90-Day Fiancé history. The verdict from the court of public opinion is already leaning heavily in one direction, and it is absolutely devastating. Let's delve into the dark psychology that underpins this entire deception, because what we have here is not a simple case of a man being a jerk. This is a masterclass in manipulation, a long-term campaign of emotional sabotage that requires a level of duplicity that is truly chilling. To understand the why, we have to explore several potential theories, each more disturbing than the last, drawing from insider analysis and a closer look at the evidence laid bare in these leaked chats. The first, and perhaps most charitable theory, is that Sumit is the ultimate coward. This theory posits that he is a man trapped not by Jenny, but by his own inability to make a definitive choice. He is terrified of his parents and the societal shame they represent, but he is equally terrified of losing the comfort, stability, and perhaps the genuine affection Jenny provides. Instead of choosing a path and facing the consequences, he has tried to live two lives simultaneously. In one life, he performs the role of the dutiful, if rebellious, Indian son. In the other, he is the devoted, westernized husband. The boys' night chat is the squalid, secret backstage area where he takes off both masks and reveals his true face, that of a weak, resentful man who blames everyone else for the prison he has built for himself. He complains about his parents to Jenny, and he complains about Jenny to his friends. He is a man perpetually playing the victim to every available audience. This doesn't excuse his behavior, it just frames it as a pathetic and destructive coping mechanism. His cruelty is the byproduct of his own cowardice, a way to vent the rage he's too afraid to direct at its real sources, his parents and his own indecision. He tears Jenny down in private because it gives him a fleeting sense of power and control in a life where he feels utterly powerless. But then there is the second, more sinister theory, Sumit the long con artist. This theory suggests that there was never any real love, only a meticulously executed plan. To support this, we must look back at the very beginning of their relationship. It started with a catfish. He lied about his name, his appearance, his life. At the time, it was framed as a youthful mistake, a moment of insecurity. But what if it wasn't? What if it was the opening move of a calculated deception? A test to see what kind of lies this vulnerable American woman was willing to believe. He saw an older, lonely woman, and he saw an opportunity. The My American Pension nickname is the cornerstone of this theory. It's not a joke. It's a confession. According to insider reports analyzing the chat logs, the financial talk is frequent and specific. There are alleged discussions about Jenny's social security, her savings, the money she invested into their life in India. Sumit reportedly complains about being broke, and his friends respond with messages like, "Just wait a few more years, the grand prize is coming," accompanied by money bag emojis. This theory paints a picture of a man who has been acting for nearly a decade. Every tear, every fight with his parents, every declaration of love was a performance for an audience of one, with the goal of securing his financial future. The family drama itself could be seen as part of the con. By creating a powerful external enemy, his parents, he forged an unbreakable us-against-the-world bond with Jenny. She would never suspect the enemy was sleeping next to her because she was too busy fighting the one he had so perfectly set up for her. In this version of events, Sumit is not a coward. He is a predator. The third theory is perhaps the most tragic. Let's call it the resentful prisoner. This theory allows for the possibility that Sumit did love Jenny at one point. In the beginning, their online romance was an escape. She was exciting, different, a window into a world far from the traditional expectations of his life in India. He may have genuinely fallen for her. But then came the reality of her moving to India, the reality of the massive age gap becoming not a theoretical number, but a daily presence, the reality of his family's relentless disapproval, and the social ostracism he faced. This theory suggests that over the years, the immense pressure curdled his love into a deep and profound resentment. He started to see her not as the woman he loved, but as the source of all his problems. She was the reason his parents were angry. She was the reason his friends had normal lives while he did not. She was the reason he was a pariah. He feels trapped in the life he chose, and because he's too weak to admit he made a mistake or to end the relationship honorably, he lashes out at her in the only way he can, secretly. The mockery in the group chat is the poison seeping out of a wound. He hates his life, and he has transferred that hatred onto her. The chats become a chronicle of this curdling. Early messages might have been simple complaints, but as the years went on, they allegedly became more vicious, more personal. He started attacking her looks, her intelligence, her very essence. It's the desperate act of a man trying to destroy the symbol of his own perceived failure. In this scenario, he is both a villain and a tragic figure, a man who has become a monster because he cannot live with the consequences of his own heart. Now, let's consider the ripple effect, because this explosion has a blast radius that extends far beyond just Sumit and Jenny. Think about his parents, Anil and Sana. For years, they have been portrayed as the villains of this story, the cruel, unyielding, traditionalist parents who stood in the way of true love. We, the audience, have collectively condemned them. But this leak changes everything. In a horrifying twist of irony, the screenshots validate every single one of their arguments. They said Sumit was deceiving them and making a fool of himself. The chats show he was deceiving Jenny and making a fool of her. They said the age gap was a problem and that he would come to resent it. The chats are a 2-year-long testament to his age-related resentment. They worried he was in it for reasons other than love. The nickname My American Pension confirms their worst fears. What must they be thinking now? An insider close to the family has theorized that their reaction is a complex mix of vindication and shame. On one hand, they can say, "We told you so. We were right all along." But on the other hand, their son has been exposed as a cruel, duplicitous man. Their family name is disgraced in a new and even more profound way. Do they feel smug, or do they feel a sense of parental failure, wondering where they went wrong that their son would be capable of such cruelty? The leak forces us to see Anil and Sana in a new light. They are no longer simple villains. They are the Cassandras of this tragedy, the ones who shouted a warning that everyone, including their own son, refused to hear. Their methods were harsh, but their core assessment of the situation's unsustainability appears to have been brutally accurate. And what about Jenny's daughters? They have always been cautiously supportive, yet perpetually skeptical. They've voiced their concerns about their mother's financial and emotional vulnerability. Imagine the phone call. Imagine one of them having to break this news to their mother, or worse, Jenny calling them in tears after seeing it herself. It's the ultimate heartbreaking "I told you so." Their skepticism, which Jenny likely dismissed as a lack of faith in her love story, is now revealed to be astute intuition. They will be furious. Furious at Sumit for his betrayal, but also filled with a profound sense of helplessness. They are thousands of miles away, unable to comfort their mother in person as her entire world collapses. This will undoubtedly create a new and intense pressure on Jenny to finally leave India and come home, to the family that has always been genuinely on her side. The daughter's role shifts from concerned background characters to the potential rescue party in the final act of this drama. We must also zoom in on the boys' night group itself. This leak has detonated a friendship. Anand, the leaker, is now a traitor in their eyes. He broke the sacred, unspoken rule of the boys' club. What is said in the chat stays in the chat. The other two friends are now in an impossible position. They are implicated. Their names and messages are likely part of the leak. Do they double down and defend Sumit, further cementing their own guilt? Or do they cut him loose to save their own reputations? Friendships that last a lifetime can be shattered by a betrayal like this. Sumit has not only lost his wife's trust, he has likely lost the very support system he was performing for. The echo chamber has been shattered, and now all the ugly things they said are reverberating in the real world. His quest for validation from his peers may cost him those very peers. And in the center of it all is Priya, the catalyst. Let's not understate her role. She is the hero of this story. She was an outsider who saw the toxicity for what it was and refused to tolerate it. Her feminist principles were not just abstract ideas. They were a call to action. When she confronted Anand, she didn't just save her own relationship. She set in motion the events that would expose a profound injustice. She did what so many people fail to do. She spoke up. Without her moral clarity, Sumit's secret might have remained safe forever, and Jenny would have continued to live in a beautifully constructed lie. Priya's actions are a powerful reminder that sometimes one person's refusal to accept cruelty can be enough to bring an entire house of cards crashing down. To truly grasp the sickness at the heart of this, let's look at some more specific, newly analyzed details from the leaks, cross-referencing them with what we saw in the show. Remember the poignant scene from a few seasons ago where Jenny had a health scare? She was worried, and Sumit was by her side, holding her hand, looking like the concerned, loving husband. The timestamps from the chat tell a different story. An insider analysis of a conversation from that very same week allegedly shows Sumit complaining to his friends about the potential medical bills. He writes, "Now the old machine is starting to break down. This is going to cost me." A friend replies with a joke about her warranty expiring. Sumit's alleged response is the most chilling part, a single skull emoji, followed by, "At least the life insurance is paid up. Just kidding, mostly." The cruelty of complaining about the cost of his wife's health and then making a joke about her death, all while playing the role of the devoted caregiver to her face, is sociopathic. Another example. There was a segment on the show where they were planning their future, and Jenny expressed her sadness that they would never have children together. Sumit comforted her, saying that their love was enough, that they had each other, and that was all that mattered. The leak allegedly contains a conversation from that same period where Sumit's friends are teasing him about being childless. One friend sends a picture of his own young son. Sumit's reply is not one of contentment with his life choices. It is a message of pure bitterness. "Good for you. Some of us have to settle for grandchildren that aren't even ours." He then allegedly sends a link to the dating profile of a younger, childless Indian woman from a matrimonial site with the caption, "A man can dream, can't he?" This isn't just a complaint, It's an expression of a desire to replace her, to have the life he feels she has stolen from him. The deception is so pervasive that it infects every memory we have of them. Every sweet moment is now a potential crime scene. The public proposal, the wedding vows, the anniversary celebrations, were they all just scenes in a movie he was directing? It forces us to ask a terrifying question. Is Sumit a narcissist? Does he possess the capacity for genuine empathy? A narcissist sees other people not as individuals with their own feelings, but as objects, sources of narcissistic supply. Jenny gave him a great supply. She gave him adoration, financial support, a storyline for a TV show, and a victim narrative that garnered him international sympathy. His friends in the chat provided another kind of supply, validation of his superiority, an audience for his wit, a space to feel like a powerful, desirable man. He was getting everything he needed from both sides, and all it cost was Jenny's dignity and trust. What happens now? The public relations battle has begun. We can anticipate Sumit's response. It will likely follow a predictable playbook. First, denial. The screenshots are fake. When that fails due to the sheer volume of evidence, it will move to minimization. They were just jokes, locker room talk. It didn't mean anything. Then blame shifting. I was under a lot of pressure from my family. I wasn't myself. Finally, a non-apology apology. I'm sorry if anyone's feelings were hurt. He will try to frame himself once again as the victim. But it is unlikely to work this time. The evidence is too graphic, the cruelty too sustained. And Jenny, what is her move? She is in an impossible position. She's in a foreign country, legally tied to a man who has systematically degraded her. Her entire life for the past decade has been built around him. Leaving means admitting a decade of her life was based on a lie. It means facing the "I told you so"s from everyone back home. It means starting over in her late 60s with her savings depleted and her heart shattered. Staying means trying to coexist with her own tormentor, a man she can never trust again. There is no easy answer for her. Every path forward is paved with pain. This entire saga has transcended typical reality TV drama. It has become a dark parable about modern love, digital deceit, and the terrifying gap that can exist between a person's public persona and their private self. It's a story that forces us to look at the people in our own lives and wonder if we truly know them, or if we only know the version of themselves they want us to see. Sumit presented himself as a man fighting a war for love against the world. But the leaked chats reveal he was a double agent all along. The whole time we thought he was fighting for Jenny, his most vicious attacks were reserved for her. So after seeing all of this, the mountain of evidence, the years of sustained deception, the sheer depth of the cruelty, we are left with the final devastating question. Do you think Sumit ever loved Jenny at all? Was any of it real? Or was this entire relationship, from the very first catfished message to the final tearful wedding vow, the most elaborate and heartless scam we have ever seen? This one is a tragedy on a scale we rarely witness. Comment with your final verdict. What do you believe is the real truth behind Sumit's secret life? And what should Jenny do now? Your theories are needed now more than ever.